morning, everyone. I have been talking on this book, Opening the Hand of Thought, on Sunday mornings. And now I'm reading third paragraph of page 93, if you have this text. I have been talking on this paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4 times. This is the fifth. It takes much time because Uchiyamura's quote from the old Buddhist scriptures, such as Dhammapada, Stanipada, and Parinibbana Sutra, about Shakyamuni Buddha's teaching of the self. And what he wanted to say is the very basic fundamental attitude in Buddhism is to find a peace of mind within the self, instead of by worshipping the God somewhere behind or beyond this world. And in this section or part, he is talking about the significance of the Zen practice. Zen practice in terms of modern civilization. What is the meaning of this practice of just sitting within the modern scientific and technological civilization? Not only science and technology, but also those science and technology is used in the context of politics and economy. And Uchiyamura pointed out this modern civilization based on science and technology is how can I say, as a motivation, it has dissatisfaction because we don't like the condition we are at this present moment. We want to make change. We want to make development. So we have some goal, and because we are not so happy where we are, so we need to go there and get that thing. Then our life or situation can be better. That is a basic motivation of modern people to work hard to make our life better, more convenient and rich. And within that society, we want to make ourselves, wealthy, famous, and more powerful than others. So our civilization is based on the desire for better condition and also competition with others in order to be successful. And because of that very basic nature of modern civilization, in page 92 of this book, he said, this civilization is a crazy one. This civilization is a crazy one. We only chase after something better. But Uchiyamura is saying next, the future or basic attitude of Buddhism is being free from desire and being in harmony with others instead of competitive. So there's some opposite nature in Buddhism. So there is some meaning to study and practice Buddhism in this modern civilization. But that is what he has been saying so far. But in the second half of this paragraph, page continues to page 94. The second part start from the first line of page 94. He pointed out the problem of this attitude of Buddhism, that means being free from desire and avoid competition. So let me read from the first line of page 94. However, actually in the original Japanese writings, from here there is a new paragraph. So anyway, let me read. However, with even the slightest misunderstanding of this attitude, there is the danger of a very foolish civilization being created. One mistake, and today's scientific civilization becomes a kind of madness. If you take one distinctive feature of human nature and develop it as if it were the whole self without seeing the truth of human life, the result is likely to be insane. So what he's saying is, with even the slightest misunderstanding of this attitude means find a peace of mind within the self, and without seeking after something outside, and being free from our desire, and also avoiding competitive, but being harmony with others. Which is saying, if we misunderstand this attitude, he said, slightest misunderstanding of this attitude, there is a danger of a very foolish civilization being created. About the modern civilization, scientific and technological civilization, he said, crazy. So he used this word, crazy and foolish, as two opposite. And I'm not sure if this English word, crazy and foolish, can convey what Uchimura really want to say. So I'd like to explain these two words. Crazy is a translation of Japanese word kichigai. Basically, he said, this modern civilization is kichigai civilization. And foolish is a translation of aho. So if modern civilization based on desires and competition becomes crazy or kichigai civilization, and this attitude of not based on desire and avoiding competition makes this civilization as a foolish one, or aho bunme. So what is kichigai and aho? And Uchimura write in Japanese original writing, he wrote this kichigai in katakana. And aho also in katakana. Japanese has three kind of letters. One is Chinese character or kanji, and second is hiragana, and the third is katakana. Kanji came from China, so this kanji refers to Chinese characters. And in Japan, by simplifying Chinese characters, we create two different kind of alphabet. One is hiragana, another is katakana. And hiragana was developed by women, women writers in the ancient times, like the Tale of Genji was written in hiragana. And this katakana was developed by Buddhist monks to read Chinese writings as Japanese. Anyway, in modern times, we still use those three kinds of letters. And mainly today, katakana is used to write, for example, a foreign word. For example, this crazy, in katakana, we write this like crazy instead of hiragana. So we can see, this is a foreign language. So in English, you write in italics, write foreign words in italics. So same kind of usage. Not only the foreign word, but when the writer want to use this Japanese, very common Japanese word in a kind of a special meaning. Instead of usually we use in hiragana as kichi e. We wrote in katakana. That refer to this word is used kind of unusual meaning usage. And a common way of reading, for example, kichigai is using in Chinese kanji, kichigai, or this is ki and this is chi. Chigai means, in this case, disorder. And the ki is the same word as Chinese word chi, the energy chi. So the disorder of chi is kichigai in Japanese. And this refers to any kind of mental disorder. It's called kichigai. But Uchihamuros use this word kichigai or crazy in a kind of his own unique meaning. And that is the opposition of aho. Aho are foolish. Aho in kanji is this word. This is very common Japanese word. Aho means fool or foolish. And kichigai means crazy. Please.
Excuse me, you used a descriptive word in English, sounded like foreign word.
Foreign. Word from foreign language.
So it means foreign.
Yeah. So we need to understand what is Uchihamuro's meaning when he wrote these words in katakana. That means he used this word in an unusual, uncommon meaning. That is what I'm going to talk today. Then I read Uchihamuro's book when I was a high school student, and after I read his book, I wanted to read like him, and I tried. When I graduated from high school, I tried to visit Antaiji, but somehow I couldn't find Antaiji, even though I went near there, because I expect Antaiji was like a temple. Of course, Antaiji was a temple, but it's not like a usual temple building. Usual Japanese temple building has a big, gate. So I thought I could find it without problem. But even I went there, near there in the neighborhood, I couldn't find any temple. So Antaiji was not really like a temple. It's a very small temple, and the temple gate was broken several years ago. by typhoon. So anti-building were not so good shape. Anyway, because I couldn't find advantage, I couldn't meet Uchemuraji before at the time. So I made decision to go to Komazawa University and study Buddhism first because I knew, Uchiyama and South belongs to Soto Zen tradition, and Komazawa University is a Soto Zen university. So I decided first studied Buddhism and Soto Zen at that university. So I moved to Tokyo from Osaka. I lived in Osaka. Anyway, a few months after I moved to Tokyo, Uchemoroshi had a chance to visit Tokyo to give a public talk. And of course, I went to listen to his talk. And the title of his public talk was between Kichigai and Aho. So Kichigai is one extreme, and Aho is another extreme in the Uchimoro's usage, and between middle way between this extreme and that extreme. And his talk was very, at that time I was 20 years old, very understandable to me. I could understand what is Kichigai and what is Aho. Now, Aho is actually a Kansai dialect, so Aho is very familiar with me. So this was kind of a basic understanding of Buddhist teaching to me, middle way between Kichigai and Aho. And what Uchamura is talking is Kichigai is making separation or distinction between this and this, and something positive and something negative, something we like and we don't like. And because we think this is better than this one, or this is negative, and that this is positive and this is negative, we try to go there or get that thing, and we hate this thing. So we have a kind of a attachment to this thing, or greed for this thing, and hatred about this thing. And we only try to get this good thing. This is what Uchamros is trying to express, use this word, crazy. So crazy is almost like a maniac, obsession. This is good, so I need to get there, or this is good, better place, so I need to be there. Therefore, we work, so hard. Even we have to, fight against these things we hate, we dislike. So this is Kichigai is based on discrimination, and grasp this is good, so I need to get this one. And Aho is the opposite. There's no discrimination. Even this making distinction is not a matter. That means no discrimination means we don't care whether which is good and which is bad, which is positive or negative. That means our life is kind of stagnant within no discrimination. So these are opposite. For example, in our Zazen, this is something like chasing after something as a result of the Zen practice. And another is no discrimination, so just sitting quietly and peacefully is okay. Or this can be called as a dullness and distraction and want to chase something. Or another example in Buddhist teaching is, one of the Buddha's teaching is when we play the music, string, the string is too tight, then it's broken. But if it's too loose, it doesn't make sound, correct sound. I think these two are what Uchamura is trying to convey with using these words. Does it make sense in English as crazy and foolish? Is there any better word? Crazy is like someone is crazy about a car, obsessed, some obsession about some particular thing. And foolish means don't care, nothing is mind, nothing is the matter. That kind of attitude.
Maybe something more like obsessed or obsession and apathy.
Apathy, that is the spelling.
A-P-A-T-H-Y.
Apathy. And
obsession.
Anyway, this is like a horse running to only this way and see nothing else. This is what Uchamura calls crazy. And foolish means I don't care. Nothing is matter. Just be just as I am. No problem. So could you understand the difference between these two? And between, which I said, between middle way. That means, in this paragraph it says, if you take one distinctive feature of human nature and develop it as if it were the whole self without seeing the truth of human life, the result is likely to be insane. And this insane, in original he said, likely develop or become either crazy or foolish. That means we have two kind of opposite nature that when we find this current condition is not so good, then we make effort to improve the condition. That is one way we live. But in another feature of human nature is find peace and harmony just within this condition, whatever this condition is like. Be peaceful and live harmonious with others. That is another human nature. And both are possible part of human nature. But if we think this is only way we live, then we become crazy, start to run after something we want. But when we live with this attitude, we stagnate where we are. And the reason why Uchamura think this kind of middle way between these two attitudes is important has something to do with the situation of Japan from the end of 19th century, 19th, 20th century. That is when Japan was closed against other part of the world for almost 300 years, from beginning of 17th century until 1868. That is the year of Meiji Restoration. For this, about little less than 300 years, Japan was governed by Tokugawa shogunate government without any, almost any interaction with foreign countries. And we didn't experience any wars. So it was very peaceful. And when we studied history in this period, it said the population of Japan didn't increase. The population about these 300 years was stay about 30 million. That means in that small countries with the technology of farming at this age, this is a limitation of the number of people. So, and in Japanese society, the classes and social status are fixed. That means warriors or samurai class, and second is called merchant, and craftsman, and farmer. When someone is born in certain family, they have to take over their family business. It's not possible to choose their occupation, and they are not allowed to move. If the person live in certain family within certain area, they have to stay there their entire lives. So the society was really fixed, not many changes, and yet it was peaceful. So when Japan was forced to open country by American Navy, we saw that almost all Asian countries were colonies of European countries. That means we might lose our country and became a colony of some European country. And so that became Japanese obsession. If we didn't become rich and strong, that means economically and politically and militarily, if we don't become powerful, then we might lose our nation. So entire Japanese nation worked so hard to make us, powerful in economy, politics, and military. That was the kind of a mental situation in the early Meiji period. So everything old before this, during this, was negated, or negate the value of old things. So all Japanese want to study something new from Europe, and we studied so much, and we also learn how to make Japanese military strong and powerful. And also we studied how to make other Asian countries into colonies. So Japan became a kind of a good student of European, countries, and tried to, be rich and powerful, and made, other Asian countries such as Korea or Taiwan or Manchuria makes the colonies. That was the situation of Japan for, how can I say, majority of people and mainstream political and economic streams. But some people thought this is bad, by, studying Western civilization and make us more like a westernized and become like a Western countries, even though it makes us, rich and powerful. Still, we lose very important Japanese values or culture or identity. So in Japan, there are always, in the history of Japan, there are always these two kind of a stream. Each time, something good or better came from outside. Like we studied even Chinese, how to write. We studied from China, and so everything good came from China. So Japanese people made extreme effort to study Chinese civilization. So in our Japanese mentality, there are two sides. One is things coming from outside is better than Japanese. But there's another kind of a mentality that Japanese number one. That kind of nationalistic attitude. We want to, how can I say, preserve Japanese tradition. So these two kind of streams are always in tension. Anyway, and that was the same things happened when Uchamurashi was young. Mainstream Japanese people are living like this. But some people think Japanese traditional civilization or culture is more peaceful and being harmonious with other people and nature is better way of life. So they didn't like this development. But and also, the situation of Asian country at that time was called Asian stagnation. That means after Renaissance in Europe, everything developed and improved so quickly. But in Asian countries, there's no such things happened. So Asian countries are stagnated in kind of a poor. It might be peaceful and yet poor and weak. That's why when European came, they had to become the colonies. So in the people in this ages, from in Meiji and Taisho and Showa era in Japan, has a kind of two opposite attitude toward what is happening in Japan. And what Uchamurashi is saying is the way we are working to gain economic and military power is like a crazy. And if we, cling to the old traditional peaceful way of life, then we may lose our country. So what is the kind of a very important question in Japan after this age? I think until even today, there are kind of a tension between something from Europe, and now with not only Japan but also in many Asian countries, stagnation was over. Now their economic development was so quick, so this is not true anymore. Even Japan, we don't think Western civilization is better than Asian. Because of the result of this effort, we kind of have become the equal with Western countries. Anyway, so this might be the idea based on the situation Uchimoroshi and not only Uchimoroshi but Japanese people lived. So this might not so much meaningful for us now today. In the actual, political and economical context. But when we think of our peace of mind in this modern civilization, I think we still have some meaning. It's not a matter of Western or Eastern or Asian and European, but we are all in the same, kind of a same stage, same situation, and we are still working to make better. Especially, today, the competition is really, severe if we are making the same thing for a few years. It's kind of become old-fashioned and no one buys this one anymore. So we have to be always changing. So it's very difficult to find a peace of mind. But if we ignore that kind of development, then there's no way to live. So how can we keep both, means development or improving and changing and peace of mind. That means stability of our life. How can both two can be possible? I think that, so in that terms, in that context, I think he's saying between craziness and foolishness. We probably need better English expression, but I think has still meaning why we have to find or make effort to find a peace of mind, and yet also we have to work to develop the situation, because our life is not really 100% satisfactory. We have to make change, and yet we have to keep the peace of mind. How can these two get together within our life as a person and as a condition in the society, or the situation of entire human civilization? How can we, these two, getting along? I think it's really a difficult but important koan for not only for Buddhists, but for all human beings. We have so much because of this kind of effort to development. We already have a power to destroy entire world, entire nature. So if we don't find peacefulness, then we kill ourselves probably by destroying the nature. We are the very small part of the nature. So we cannot live without harmony, peace and harmony with other part of the nature. But because of our desire to development, and this development is for the sake of human beings, not for other beings in the nature. So we think all other things in this planet is a resource or material we can use. Human beings can use to make us happy and our life more convenient and wealthy. But when we destroy the nature, then we have to die. We cannot live without the entire situation, or balance and harmony within this nature. So if we only work hard in this way, then I think we are killing ourselves. But how can make a balance between working hard to make improvement and to find a peace of mind in this situation, like now, like here? How can these two sides get along, or how can we find the middle way between these two, peace of mind and development? Is really, I think, important, and as a how can I say, very difficult one for all of us. It's already 5 to 11. I think that is the fact which I'm saying here in the second half of this paragraph. Let me read it again. He said, however, with even the slightest misunderstanding of this attitude means being satisfied within our current condition and find a peace of mind just within ourselves and become free from our desire to get something from outside. If we make a slightest misunderstanding of this attitude of Buddha's teaching and apply to the other aspect of life, like our economy or other politics or other paths, then there is a danger of a very foolish civilization. Foolish means this foolish civilization. That means we become stagnant. So foolish civilization being created. But on the other side, one mistake, and when we make another mistake, then today's scientific civilization becomes a kind of madness. Madness is another translation of crazy. So we become crazy. Work, too hard in the long run to kill ourselves. So it seems like, human civilization can be like a cancer of our body. Cancer is really a part of our body, but the cancer somehow grow without harmony with other rest of the world or entirety of the world. So when the cancer grow to a certain degree, then this entire body die, then cancer must die. So cancer is a kind of a very, how can I say, what is the word? Strange life, strange kind of, strange part, very unique part of our life. It's negate the life, and it negate itself. And if we are not careful, human civilization become like a cancer for our body. We work so hard to make for the sake of our welfare, and we believe working hard is a good thing, and yet in the long run, the result of our working hard is that destroying the nature, and that means destroying ourselves. So this is really strange kind of connection or relation between the part and the whole. We are a part of this network of interdependent origination, but somehow we have a power to destroy this entire network. So this is really a big problem for us. So if we cannot find the middle way between these two, then we cannot be healthy. That's why he said, if you take, not you, but I think we, if we take one distinctive either feature of human nature and develop it as if it were the whole self, without seeing the truth of human life. So we need to see both sides and truth, or what is the most healthy way of life, including not negating either tendency, but including both nature and how to live in a healthy way. I think it's really important point. But if we take one distinctive feature of human nature and develop it as if it were the whole self, without seeing the truth of human life. So what he's saying is to see the truth of human life. That means we are living and we can existing only within the connection and relation and support, mutual support of each and every beings in the nature and each and every people in the society. According to Buddhist teaching, this interconnection is the very basic truth of human life. Then the result is likely to be insane. Insane means we became either crazy or foolish. Well, and from next paragraph is talking about how can we find a middle way. And he suggests, Buddha's teaching and this Buddhist practice can offer very important point to find the middle way. But in order to think of this entire human civilization, Buddhism alone cannot work. So we have to think more kind of a wider or broader perspective. But in this situation, what Ujamrosh want to say is Buddhism has very precious, important thing to offer when human beings is making effort to find the middle way between these two sides. Well, this is what I have to say this morning. Any question or comments, please?
I have a question. What is that?
Mm-hmm.
I think that I heard you saying that we have the power to destroy the network of dependent origination, what you call the network of interdependent origination. How can we destroy something that is always changing?
Pardon me?
How can we destroy something that is always changing, is moving? My understanding is that the network of independent origination is not something fixed, right?
Right.
So it's always changing. So how can we destroy something that is always changing?
I think destruction means changing in an unexpected, unhealthy way.
Okay, what does it mean exactly? Can you give me an example?
I think healthy way means to be free from this and that. That means in either way we negate ourselves. And I think that is not healthy. Does it make sense?
No.
Because we don't want.
Okay.
For us living beings to be healthy, I think is a natural, healthy thing. But to work too hard and make our body destroy, that is not a healthy way of life.
Okay. So,
In that way, we can destroy ourselves.
so we can destroy, you are saying that we can destroy the network of interdependent origination
Mhm.
that is in constant, impermanent, and always moving. We can destroy the way that it moves, right?
Harmonious way, harmonious interdependence. That is, have been happening on this network, on this planet, and we can destroy the balance of within the nature.
Okay.
I think that is what destruction means.
Yes,
We can destroy,
Okay.
and that is not what desirable for us.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Please.
Son, the last Dharma talk that you gave, Sunday Dharma talk, you spoke about absolute and defined the word absolute, and then you spoke about what I think of is non-deistic thinking, way of being,
Non-dualistic.
or non-deistic, or used the word
Anatoma.
Yes. So there was, and so I had in my mind the idea of absolute and the possibility of exaggerating in the sense of absolutizing something. And it reminds me of a bit the competitive or the crazy, can be crazy, or religious fanaticism also. And then I'm trying to think of the anatma exaggeration possibly, and with as John was saying, that it made him nervous that to think of making no moral judgments anymore. Why do anything? It seems like an exaggeration with that idea anyway, not the reality of it, but the idea of it could become the foolish or the apathetical, where you no longer make distinctions. Am I right? Is it connected like that possibly, in that the original spiritual or doctrinal idea could be wrong, not only our impulses in the world of complacency and over-competitiveness, but also our whole idea of absolutizing. This is my religion, I'm a Christian, this is the only, that kind of absolutizing. And then on the other side, anathematizing. I don't know what the word would be called, but overly not. Well, I think you know.
I don't think anatman or negation of atman destroy the morality or system of value.
No, but the mistaken idea of it, like
Mistaken
this is a mistaken idea
of anatman.
No, it cannot.
I'm sorry, but I cannot understand. If there's no atman, something absolute, then there's no morality. I don't really understand. Morality is based on, at least in Buddhism, based on anatma. The anatma means something which can exist without connection with others. But because what I'm doing and what others are doing are connected, so we need to think about morality.
I see. Yes.
So I don't think anatma is a negation of morality.
I think I'm thinking beyond the absolute. If one has an idea of always going beyond the absolute rather than the interconnectedness of everything, maybe that's more correct. That would be that's the possibly apathetical point of view. Thank you. You clarified it for me.
Please.
Well, my concern last time,
Mhm.
I think it's a similar concern, was when you quoted Descartes, I was saying that he was trying to bridge the gap between mind and body.
Mhm.
That was disputed by 2 or 3 people in the room.
Mhm.
And I think both sides in some ways are correct.
Mhm.
My position was, and I read this stuff 40 years ago, so it was pretty dim. Besides that I'm dense, so it's dense and dim. But my recollection was that he was trying to overcome 2 schools of thought. One school of thought said we produce nothing except by our senses. That is, we can think of gold, we can think of mountain, we can think of a golden mountain. We can't think of anything that doesn't come as some combination of things through our senses. What Descartes was arguing was that, and I did a quick WikiLeaks thing on this, how reliable that is, I don't know, but what they said there was that he was trying to bridge the gap, and he thought that the bridge was the pituitary gland, and that there was an integration between mind and body that would allow us to have a mental construct that wouldn't be necessarily dependent upon our sensatory experiences. That seems to me to be a very similar position that we take in Soto Zen, and having an Atma that can be independent, but at the same time gets its strength from its interdependence. And then the trick is to make sure that we don't destroy that interdependence in a way that's unhealthy. And that's what I was trying to come to grips with, and why I think Cartesian thought probably screws up, because he never really, he would have been better off making the pure case that there is no bridge, but that somehow that mental construct is what we all want to strive for with our body as well as our mind. But he couldn't, and I can't, reconcile how we do it with our bodies, because I don't know how to put the mind and body together. And I think that's the same kind of thing we were debating with Atma and non-Atma, and how puts the stable self and the non-stable self, and how self settles on self. I think it's a very tricky philosophical point. I don't know how to get that refinement to be settled in my mind, at least. Is that kind of what you were?
I don't have any idea what you're talking
I don't think so.
I'm not sure I have any idea about
I'm sorry, but I think that was my mistake to quote Descartes. Because I don't really understand Western philosophy, and in which context Descartes said something like that. But I just read, part of his writings, that is, the self or I can exist without relation with others. That I, which is thinking, I think. I only pointed that point, and I thought this, if that is true, this I is the same as Atman, which can exist without relation or support from anything else.
Right. No, I think that's right.
So I'm sorry, but don't ask that question. Maybe you have more clear understanding.
It's wonderful. It's given me 3 weeks of diversion while I've thought about it.
Actually, it's very helpful.
Thank you very much for your patience. Yes. Anything else?
One more small thing. You mentioned at the beginning that there was another paragraph. Did I understand that's not in the book? Or did you say that the paragraphs are a little different?
I said the second part of this paragraph, that means what I read today, is another next new paragraph in which announces.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Anything? Okay.